channel Enjoy Watercolour Painting. I'm Diana. I live in southwest France, and in the gallery here I give watercolour classes to a whole range of people who want to learn different techniques and enjoy the process of painting with watercolours. With this in mind, for this video, I've decided to tackle a subject which people do worry about when they come along. They often say to me, "Oh, I can't draw, I'm not really good at drawing. I was never good at drawing at school." And so I say, well, here we try to put the emphasis on painting rather than drawing. And it's not essential to draw with a pencil before you paint. This is quite a controversial view, I think. Often we're told a good drawing is the basis of all paintings. And to a certain extent, for some people, this can be true. But if you're struggling with drawing, I've come up with another means of help and assistance to create the image. And so this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at an alternative to drawing, to the initial sketch that so many artists do before they start to paint. I'm going to use granulating watercolour paints to put a wash on the paper, which we can then move to produce light and shady areas and give an indication of where the paint needs to go without actually having lines to follow. This is quite an intriguing process and it does work very well. So if you're interested and curious and want to follow me in the journey, then stick with me as we start the process. I have all my materials organised already. Two palettes here which contain pigments which granulate. The first palette here has cobalt turquoise and Indian red, and here we have ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. I'm using granulating colours because this technique we do no drawing, we just put a wash on the paper and then use this acrylic, this flat brush, to take out colour. In fact, we draw with the paint that's already existing on the paper. It's a very interesting technique which I use a lot rather than doing pencil drawing. And the two pictures that I have in front of me, both of horses, which is a subject that I love to paint. This picture here is of the French ultramarine with burnt sienna, a grey horse, and I've done no pencil work. I just take out the colour and then add more colour where needed. And I'll take you through the whole process. And here the other painting is of the other palette, Indian red with cobalt turquoise. And the same thing, I have done no pencil work. I've just let the existing pigment on the paper, moved it with the acrylic brush, which has given me an image that I can use to help to get the detail. You'll see how it goes as we go through the video. You can see already, if you look closely, that I'm using rough texture Arche 300 gram paper, 100% cotton. But you'll see also that the granulation has happened and the pigment has created texture already. And this gives us the means to move the paint very easily and gives us a good surface to get our image clear. So off we go. You'll see how the process develops as we go. I have my 2 pots of water and then a mop brush and a liner brush as well. So we're all set. Let's paint. Now I'm starting the process by wetting the piece of harsh rough grain watercolour paper thoroughly so it's shiny wet with my number 10 mop brush. I have the two palettes ready to use and I'm dropping in the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna for one of the pieces of paper. I'm using the two different colour combinations so that you can see how they work, and let the colour move, let it blend together. You'll see any dry areas will soon be highlighted because the paint won't run there, and so it's just a question of re-wetting and moving again. I'm not being particularly careful about covering the whole sheet of paper. This is just for demonstration purposes. And again, we do the same thing with our other piece, but this time I'm using the cobalt turquoise and Indian red combination. The thing about granulating colour is that the pigment is very heavy and tends to clump together to make that texture, and for whatever reason it makes it easier to move when dry. So this is the quality that gives us the means to use it in the way we're going to use it to create an image instead of drawing with pencil. Just making sure I have enough of the cobalt turquoise so that the colour is suitable for the subject. And there we leave it. So now you can see the two pieces of paper that I put the wash on yesterday are both dry. I've left them to dry overnight for a reason, because I want the pigment to be as fixed as it can be, but it is made up of granulating pigment. This is the mix of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, and you can see the granulation on the rough paper. Similarly, we have the cobalt turquoise Indian red combination. So I'm going to use as my model the picture here that I did of the grey horse, and I'm going to apply it to the cobalt turquoise and Indian red paper. But I want to use this mix just to show you how we move the paint and how we use the brush to get in the basics of light and shade, which will give you the structure of this picture. So I'm using this brush, it's an acrylic brush. I have mentioned it before in previous videos. It's a Daler Rowney brush, acrylic, short flat, and it's made up of synthetic bristles which have quite a sharp edge, and this enables us to make sharp lines and virtually draw with it as we would with a pencil. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm just going to dampen the brush a little and apply it to the paper, and very gently you can see we can create a line. This is purely to show you how it works. We're not at this stage embarking on a painting, but you can see how easily the colour moves. So we can also use, this is using the edge of the brush. We can also use the brush in another way by moving the pigment like this so that we have lighter areas. So this gives us the ability and the means on watercolour paper to create shapes and indeed to draw just using the colour that we have put through the wash onto the paper. So watch in the next few frames to see how we use that technique on our cobalt turquoise Indian red sheet to create an image like this. So I'm all set now to go. I have my acrylic brush just damp, and as I did in the demonstration which I've just shown you, start to move the colour. This cobalt turquoise Indian red mix is a little bit paler than the ultramarine burnt sienna mix, but I'm looking at the image of the horse's head and taking out the lighter areas, starting at the top with the tips of the ears and the mane, just getting an idea of where the spots of light are. Moving down the centre of the nose, the lighter area above the eyes is quite important to get the shape of the horse's head. And then of course the shape diminishes as we go towards the nose. We're really just creating a ghostly image of the horse's head, just with the highlights. And this will stand us in good stead later to put the colour on. Just working away for the shape of the neck. The horse is almost visible, but not detailed. And this is the effect we want. Just using the brush, which in the gallery here we call the magic brush, because sometimes it does help in a magical way, as I think you'll see later on in this frame. Now I have to put some colour on. I have my basic shape, a ghostly image in effect of the horse. And first of all, I'm adding some shading to the ears, working my way down. This of course is speeded up. Sorry about the phone. Just adding the darker shading next to the lighter areas. I'm consulting the image, the painting that I did earlier, and just consolidating the shape with my combination of cobalt turquoise and Indian red to give that contrast of light and shade. So far so good. This is all speeded up as I've already stated, but I'm trying to keep the image as clear and as simple as I can. Using the liner brush, of course, to help me. Of course, we can go back and revisit the image and darken these areas, and you'll see that I'm using the acrylic brush just to soften the lines too and blend. Because the paper is totally dry, there is a certain amount of I can use the acrylic brush like an eraser to take out lines that are not working. And in this image, this is going to happen. When I have my classes, people sometimes get very uptight and disappointed if the painting they're doing isn't working out. And I always say there's always a moment in a painting when you feel it's not working. And with this particular painting, we're approaching it now. But the thing to do is to not quit too early, to carry on. And this process, being able to put paint on and remove it, does help that. It's much better than working with pencil from that respect, because you have to rub pencil marks out, and this damages the surface of the watercolour paper. But because this brush is good at removing paint as well as applying it, it means that the surface of the paper is not damaged. So it gives you a certain amount of flexibility, which is very welcome. I'm still not happy about as we see it, the left-hand side of the horse's head. The nostril isn't right, and I'm going to have to take the line out, which I can do with the brush, the acrylic brush. Of course, when you remove a line, you have to leave it to dry, and so I'm going to leave that area to return to it later and focus on consolidating some of the lines that are working. Looking at the two images just to see where exactly I've gone wrong. The eye, the left-hand eye is hidden under the mane, and so I'm using the position of the mane as a reference point. And if you remember, this is one of the areas we took out at the start with the acrylic brush. Just moving down now and redefining the line which descends to the nose of the horse. And you may think, oh well, we've got a mark there which we can't ignore and it's not going to be fixable. But actually, once you've put more definition in and got the right line, somehow the area that you had to move becomes less important and isn't visible. But we won't see this until the actual image is dry. So I'm carrying on, staying positive and sticking with this video. There's a lesson there. Don't quit too early. Keep on trying. It's not always a disaster. You can turn it round. And that's what I'm hoping to do here. Still not too happy. The nose still isn't right. I'm just adding a little bit more shading, and then I'm going to let it dry. Now here we are, the image is dry. What do you think? I think I've just about got away with it. There's a lesson there for everyone. Thank you for watching. Well, thank you for watching my video. It wasn't incident free. We did have the problem with the horse's nose, and if nothing else, I hoped it let you see that things are not always perfect. And with the best will in the world, we sometimes have problems and things we need to correct. But this process, using the acrylic brush and granulating colour, certainly gives us another opportunity to try a different way of creating an image. And I hope it's going to encourage you to have a go and see how you feel about it. So thank you again for watching. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know any comments you may have. They're always good to receive. And so until the next time, another subject, another adventure, enjoy your watercolour painting. Bye.